Welcome to Ask Earl Anything. This is the show where your questions make the show. If I don't have questions, I don't have a show. This week I have 4 questions. Couple announcements up front before we get started. A couple things to talk about. Those of you that have been a long-time followers of mine and follow my videos and all that stuff that goes with having a channel on YouTube know that last year, almost a year ago, my son passed away in a car accident, and the situation was really bad, and it's been a really tough year in a lot of respects. And you wouldn't know it by the amount of videos I put out, right? That's probably one of the things you're saying to yourself, wow. We'll talk more about that. I have a question about my video output lately. I promise to answer that question later on in this segment. But I wanted to have a chat with all of my subs and basically talk to you about what you're going to see from me in the next few months. I don't know when I'm going to feel better about things enough to start commenting a lot, but I've noticed let's take it back to March. Since COVID hit and all the tensions in the world and all the stuff going on in the world, it's just kind of, I've been playing drums and music to get me through all this stuff. And you know, I said this early on that if I'm not playing drums, then I'm really in a bad place. And I can tell you that the friends, the family members, the church family, talking to counselors and doing all the things you do to take care of yourself, your mental health in this type of a situation of grief is one of the things you have to do. And I've been doing all those things. And my faith, as you know, is a big thing that drives me. Another thing that you may not realize, but in a lot of the videos I choose and the music I choose for my channel, I write in the descriptions how I'm feeling that day. Usually I don't do the description until I release the video. And I never pre-plan my releases of videos. That's why there's very rarely a premiere on any of my videos. And I could do premieres all the time, to be honest. I don't really do YouTube for the reasons that a lot of you might have even thought I started doing YouTube for. The idea of getting subscribers and monetizing all that. YouTube to me has really become, especially in the last year and a half, has just become an outlet for me to play music and share my gift with the world a little bit. And it has brought me, the last 3 years have brought me a lot of great joy, and it brought me a lot of other opportunities that have come my way because of people seeing me on YouTube. And I actually have gotten recording sessions and other things for people, and I do tracks for people. I do engineering for people. I do collaborations, believe it or not. There's one collaboration I did over a year ago that still hasn't come out, that may come out someday. I hope it comes out someday. I think they were having a problem getting the vocalist, but I did that over a year and a half ago. So I went from being big to smaller to back being bigger again. You know, that's the way life is, you know. I mean, my videos you can watch my weight loss. You can watch that, all those videos from all the years I've done. I've actually got over 500 videos on my YouTube channel. Absolutely crazy what I've done. It's, you know, I started in 2017 as a way to start building a drum lesson business. And I did teach some drum lessons, and I do teach drum lessons still. And, but I'm not actively pursuing drum lessons. You know, I have my day gig, my safety director job for the company I work for, and all the things that go along with that are my main job. And I'm very committed to my family and to my church, but music keeps humming along. I keep doing music, and I've never stopped playing music. That's one of the things that's happened. But YouTube started as an outlet to give me a place to kind of sell my drum lesson business, and then it became something I just started goofing around with. And somebody found me, you know, some of the drum community here found me, and I developed a following. And then one day, I had a bunch of questions on one of my videos about my equipment, and I addressed it in a question answer video. And my first was called Drum Talk, Ask Earl Anything. and it was the first version of it, and the first one I did, it was like 15 minutes long, and the next week I got more questions and I did it again. And the first year or so of doing Ask Earl Anything in 2018, I did an episode every single week. Became a pretty popular show, and I had a lot of fun with it. And the next year I kept doing it. And since last year, probably before Matt passed away, I started backing off to like a couple times a month. And since Matt's passed away, it's been about once a month I do Ask Earl Anything. So this is the July edition of Ask Earl Anything. But what has happened since COVID is I've been putting out a lot of videos because I have nowhere to go. I can't go hang out at a music store, not that I have done a lot of that. And you can't go anywhere, can't go out to dinner. And I just threw myself into playing music. And I've been cutting anywhere from 4 to 8 drum covers a weekend, and I'm just banging them out. And during the month of June I was like putting out a video out every day at one point. I was just dumping these videos I do. I've gotten really slack with my production because I'm not really trying to be a 4-camera production guy. I don't care about that. If I do 2 cameras, it's usually my iPad and my iPhone. I still haven't bought a GoPro all these years. I don't have a GoPro. I have a nice DSLR. But the DSLR has time restrictions to it, so unless it's something quick or I have somebody helping me out with a video, like I had my grandkids help me out last year with one video where they were doing the moving camera, which I think is so cool. By the way, I just saw Drumman 190's last video, and he had a whole moving camera thing. I just love that. And one of these days, I'm going to bring my grandkids down the street, my grandson Asher in here, and he's going to just do that for me. We're going to start doing videos that way just for fun. But I love that. I think that looks really cool, and the moving camera thing. And some of you may see that I'm using like a simulated moving camera thing on almost all my videos these days because I'm only shooting with one iPhone, the one that's shooting this right now. So all this to say is, during the last few months, I've been just feeling more and more of my pain and my grief, and I'm talking to people and I'm sharing it. And I'm sharing it in my descriptions on my videos. So if you watch some of my videos and there's a message in the video, a lot of times you'll actually hear what I was thinking about, why I chose the song. And you'll see that it has relevance to where I'm at in my life and what I'm thinking about. And I've actually written a lot of my thoughts are going into the descriptions in my videos. So those of you that read my descriptions know that to be true. Those that don't read my descriptions probably don't realize that, So all this to say is, I love the drum community. I love all you guys. And there's some people that I consistently hear from. And I cannot name all of you. I know I will miss some. But some of the people that I consistently hear from out there in the community, people like Brian Corey, people like Paco Drums, people like the Mass Drummer. Gosh, there's so many of you. All I have to do is let me go to one of my videos. I'm gonna make it easy on myself. I'm gonna read down my last 2 videos, just a couple people I want to shout out to. Okay? Because I don't want to miss this, because I want you to hear something. So, I really do. Yeah, I don't want you to hear that, by the way. Claus Isaacson. John Durovich has been really jumping on my videos lately. Of course, I have old friends like Drum Covers by Bill. The Sonic music producer. I don't know why. He produces like really cool loopy music and background music, but he likes watching me play drums. He's always like one of the first guys in to say hi and thank you. Mass Drummer, Paco Drums, Ross Rickenbacker. He's been around, I think that's how you say his name, Ross. He's been around a long time. Brian Corey, Michael Perry. I have a question from Michael Perry today. George St. George. Love George. George's a great drummer. Watch his channel. Adam, AR drummer. Constantly see him. Mondo Spark. I don't know Mondo Spark's name. I wish I did know his name. He's really been encouraging. I've done a couple videos for him. You know, Drumman 190. You know, Matthew's been a friend for a long time. Hector Charo was the guy on this one. So that was the last one. That was, looks like we made it. The last Chicago one I did. Little one. I'm sure there's a few more people here. Rob Neilhouse from Austria or Germany. I'm not sure where. Rob's been around for a while. Rich Raw Dog. Same group of guys. You guys all are on my videos. Just know, I want you all to know something. The next couple months, I am going to be taking a backseat to commenting on videos. I will still be watching your videos, and I will like them, and I may even put a heart. You may just see me put a name. You'll see my name come up, and there'll be an emoticon. Just know that I'm just not in a place where I want to comment on everybody's videos, but I do watch your videos, and I thank you for watching my videos. You know, there's a lot of people that never comment on my videos, that watch my videos, and I want to thank all of you that watch my videos and enjoy my channel. Thank you. I thank all my old friends. I'm sure a lot of times they just check in and they don't drop net messages anymore, like Jeff Holden and Beats by Jay just dropped one a week ago. I'm something on one of my videos. All this to say is, I just want to let you know that you're just not going to be hearing from me in the comment section right now. I'm not spending as much time on social media. Matter of fact, I've contemplated getting rid of Facebook and Instagram. I'm really, I feel the darkness of the world lately, you know, and I'm sure it has a lot to do with the pain and darkness I feel in myself. But the darkness of the world in social media is so deeply dark. I'm tired of it. I'm weary. And I just want you all to know I love you guys and I care about you. And don't feel slighted if I don't write on your videos that I stopped caring, you know. So I just want you all to know that someday it'll pass, you know, again, and when it passes, I'll get through it and we'll move on. But the other thing is, I'm not building a channel. I don't care how many people subscribe to my channel. Doesn't really matter to me anymore. I do this for fun. One of my friends wrote me and said, thanked me. Actually, it was a guy on Instagram, thanked me for the John Robinson interview. And I had another friend thank me for the John Robinson interview. Good. Matter of fact, my friend Marco DeCiccio thanked me the other day on the phone. He's going to come down and do some covers. He did a couple covers a year or so ago. And he thanked me. He said, man, it was nice of you to use your lesson to interview John Robinson, you know, and share him with your community. And I thought, that's exactly what I'm here about. That's what this channel's always been about. It's been about encouraging other drummers and sharing with the community. You know, it's not about me. It's about me having fun. You know, the reason I make drum covers, to be honest, is so I can watch them. You might say that's really stupid, but no, it's really what it's about. Because I learn all my little mistakes by me watching videos. And just to give you a story about John Robinson, when I took the first lesson with John Robinson, I sent him some videos that I played that were John Robinson songs. And JR watched them, which was even cooler. He watched them and he said, I've got a couple pointers for you. And he gave me some pointers on that lesson. You know, he said, you're a right-handed drummer and you favor your right hand. You need to work on your left hand. I don't know if you guys realize this, but for the last couple months, I've been working on exercises to kind of build up my left accents. And I'm even working on doing things where I'm accenting off my left hand on my hi-hat, just accenting the left hand, the E's and the U's off the hi-hat. Well, that was partially because John Robinson said that, and he gave me some pointers about that, and I started working on it. So I took that lesson for me because I wanted to meet John Robinson and I wanted to get into his head a little bit. But the second part of the lesson, when I did the interview lesson, came because when I showed him my videos, I don't know if I told this story in the last Ask Earl or if I told it at all, but when I showed him my videos, the first question he asked me was, and this is one of the questions I have today, is how did you get a drumless track of Back in the High Life? It's like, I don't have a drumless track of Back in the High Life, and I played on it, you know? And I said, well, I use Xtrax Stems too, which I've written in my comments and talked about here. And he said, wow. And he said, you know, can you make me some drumless tracks? And being who I am, I said, sure, I can make you some drumless tracks. It's not a big deal. What songs do you want? And he listed 6 songs. And at the end of it, he said, so what do I have to pay you for that? Because, you know, quid pro quo, you know, you do something for somebody in the recording industry, you know, they're going to pay you. Studio time's money. A lesson with him is money. I hire him for a session, it's money, you know. And I said to him, I said, well, how about we do this? How about I get another lesson? He said, okay. So that's where the interview came from. I basically got a second lesson because I did some work for him, you know? And he was gracious enough to let me do that. And I so loved having that opportunity to interview John Robinson for you, for all the people that watch my channel. So this channel is about encouraging you, and the playing videos is a way for me to learn about my little tics and things I do wrong. Like some of the tics I've learned about myself is, number one, we teach people to hold the stick this way and wrap their fingers around and keep their fingers on it. One of the little things I've learned about on my videos is when I play the ride cymbal, sometimes you see my finger come out like this. And I'm actually holding the stick with my middle finger and my thumb. And I've actually found out when I watch other people do it, pro drummers I'm talking about, not talking about my friends down here that might be semi-pro or do YouTube, but I'm talking about pro drummers. I see some pro drummers do this. So this is a valid technique, believe it or not. I'm learning some things about my technique, you know, that I've adapted things. And one of the reasons why I play drums the way I play drums at 59, going to be 60, is because I never stopped playing drums from the time I was 15. I never had a period where I stopped playing professionally. Every year I played something. Even when the years when there weren't as many gigs, I was still playing music. I never stopped playing music. I started my recording studio in 1999 in New Jersey, brought it to Florida. When I moved to Florida, I didn't know anybody for gigs. And over the first 6 months of being here, I started getting gigs with people. I started playing in churches. I started meeting musicians to record my wife's album. So I started making contacts immediately because I knew how to hang out in music stores. I knew how to meet people. I knew how to take opportunities. My wife promoted me. I mean, my first church gig I did was my wife promoting me. She basically was at a writer's thing, an author's session, and she met a woman who had a son who played drums. And one Saturday, he couldn't play drums on the Saturday night service, and he passed my name along. And the guy who called me up, who was the worship leader, was a guy named Michael Terrell. And Michael Terrell used to be the guitar player in Broken Heart, which was Mylon Lefebvre's band, Mylon Lefebvre and Broken Heart. And he was now a youth pastor at this church, and he called me up, and he said, hey, can you play drums tonight? And he had a Nashville bass player, his name was Tim something, I can't remember his name. But we played one night, we played the service. And then a week later he called me back again, and Michael became friends, and Michael played on my wife's album. Michael's played on other people's albums. And through Michael, I met a lot of musicians down here, and I helped him out with some of his youth group stuff, playing djembe and hanging out with him and helping him write songs and recording songs. And eventually I got to play drums with Jason Upton when he was playing in Jason Upton's band, and their drummer got sick on the road and they had a gig and they needed a drummer, and I went and filled in. So I never stopped playing music is what I'm saying. I keep going, I keep playing music. And that's why when I make videos, they sound professional, because I'm a professional musician. Even though I couldn't make a living at it, I've always played music. You know, I've played on 15 albums. I just played on a new song for our church that got released in May. You know, I mean, I'm constantly doing stuff. And I have people that want me to play on their albums. As a matter of fact, I've got an album project that's coming up that I'm going to be working on. So music is what I do. I try sharing my gift with you and sharing my knowledge. That's where Ask Earl Anything came from. I just want you all to know that I love the drum community here, and I'm for you all. Just don't be offended if I don't, if I don't look at your videos or don't comment on your videos. I'll probably see most of them in some piece of or another, but I may miss a few because I'm not as active. But, you know, just know that I care. I just wanted you all to know. And I want to thank you all for watching my videos. Thank you all. So that's my little story today in the front end. And I shouted out to all those people. That was my little shout out for the day. So today I've got 4 questions. The first question comes from Lori Jones, longtime friend and subscriber. He said, this was on, I'm not sure what video this was, to be honest. One of the things I do is I take a screenshot of the question. I'm not sure which video it was. Anyhow, he said, you nailed it too, Earl. In your next Ask Earl Anything, could you go through your experiences of using a click track? The good, the bad, and for what it seems, they can get in the way. Nevertheless, your fluency in playing shines through. Thank you. All right, Lori. First off, I have learned that playing with a click track is actually easier than not playing with a click track, because the time for the whole band is now delineated by the click in a live situation. I will say that in the studio, I've learned things about my playing by playing with a click track. Like, one of the things with my playing, I discussed this with John Robinson, was I have a tendency to be a little ahead of the beat with my kick drum when it comes with the click. So I'm always like pushing a little bit forward as opposed to dead on. With your kick drum on the first beat of the measure, you want to be dead on, and I always tend to be a little pushed. It's part of my feel. That's part of my feel. And when you don't play with a click track, you wouldn't even notice it. You know, everybody would all kind of lock to where my kick ends up. But with a click track and the grid, it becomes more apparent. But in a live situation, when you've got a live click and like in a church service, I find it extremely easy to play with the click, not a problem. A lot of the drumless drum tracks I play with, I create click tracks too. And I take the drums out and I play to a click. Once I know the song, I'll just remove the drums completely and just play to it. And some of the songs have got moving clicks, and I don't have a problem with a moving click. I can follow the moving click because I'm listening to the bass and the guitar, and I'm locking in with what's going on, and I enjoy that. So I don't find a click to be anything but useful, to be honest. The click is not your friend when you're afraid of it. It's not your friend when you don't approach it like it's another musician on the stage. If you approach it like a cowbell player, you know, playing this pulse for you to lock to, and you just don't think about it as anybody but more the percussionist, your time will get more solid. So I recommend practicing with a click track, working out beats with a click track, and playing as many songs as you can with a click track to lock into it. Now, there was something in the John Robinson interview. He talked about burying the click. Him and Lewis Johnson burying the click. The click went on, the 8 beats, and then they got in it, and he couldn't hear the click. When you bury the click, you are the most dead accurate on the click, because now the click's not there. Most people do not bury the click, by the way. But that's when you lose the click. That's what throws people off. Like, I can't hear the click anymore because you're burying it. You're dead on it. So if you make the click your friend, you will actually find that your time will get better. Overall time, live time will be better. And it will be there for you to keep you'll be with the band, it'll steady everything, and it actually will work to your advantage. So don't be afraid of the click. And it's a great help on ballads, slower songs, to keep everybody back at the tempo and not rush forward. Now, there's philosophies of the click. John Robinson gave his philosophy of the click. In LA, his thing is, he said in LA, they play with a quarter note click, meaning if it's 80 beats per minute, I'm just making that up as 80 beats per minute. It might be close though, I don't know. You wouldn't get the in-between notes, the eighth notes. Excuse me, I'm doing a Jeff Porcaro thing there, just so you know. That's an inside joke for those of you that have seen In Session with Jeff Porcaro. But quarter note click, versus eighth note click, okay? LA, they play with a quarter note click. Nashville, they do eighth note click. Most churches do eighth note clicks because it helps everybody be a little bit tighter. But what it does to you is it doesn't loosen the feel up. So a lot of times the feel gets really stiff because you're playing with the eighth note click and you're right on it. Faster tunes, I'd rather have a quarter note click. Slower tunes, you're going to have a lot. You're going to see how far you vary on a quarter note click. And unless you're JR, you know, it might be tough. So I tell people when it gets under 80 beats per minute, I probably want to go eighth note click. That's usually my rule of thumb. But I would say practice slower tempos with a quarter note click and record yourself, and then you'll really start to see where the time is, and you'll start to learn that big beat, and it'll be helpful to you. And you'll start to understand that the space between the clicks is a lot of space and there's a lot of interpretation. The problem with playing the click most guys have is they sound too stiff, and they lose the feel, the in-betweeny notes, because they're so afraid of getting off the click. So they start to sound sterile. So if you got they tend to, they just drive that right to the click all the time, and you lose the little lopey stuff that you can do and make it a groove sound cool. So be aware of that. But make the click your friend is the key. And you know, the only bad thing I've had with a click is when I've had to kill the click. When you're playing with a group of musicians in a church situation and you hear in your ears the guitar player so far off that it's throwing everybody off that you kill the click, and then you force everybody to come back in. And I've had to do that in live situations. But truthfully, my worst experience with a click was the first album I played on, where I was pushing the click, and when I got replaced by John Hammond, the session drummer in Nashville. But that was also my best drum lesson of my life. So I'll leave that one at that. Go find the John Hammond interview. You can learn all about that one and some other Ask Earl Anything. All right, second question. This was on Welcome to St. James Club, Rippingtons. That was a while ago. This is Michael Gordon, another new friend. He does weekly 5 best drum covers or something. I've been in there a couple times. Thank you, Michael. He said, I see some new cymbals. Did you buy a few new ones? And I have a question been meaning to ask for your next Ask Earl Anything show. What's your favorite cymbals and brands? And another fabulous drum cover. Thank you. Thank you, Michael. Haven't really bought a lot of new cymbals. There's a set of Crope hi-hats that a friend of mine, Leandro Gonzalez, I believe his name is. He's in Miami. He's the guy I'm going to be working on an album with. He has kind of given me those hats. So he didn't like them, and he just said, here, have them. So thank you, Leandro. As far as the Crope hats, I do like them. They go really well with my Crope cymbals that I've had for about 5 years now. I don't really have any new Pistes, but you will periodically see a cymbal you never saw before that comes out of my collection of cymbals. I have about 52 cymbals. I've got a full set of Sabians, a full set of Zildjians, and it seems like I have almost 2 sets of Pistes of cymbals. You know, I probably have almost 2 sets of all those cymbals, by the way, depending on what the setup is. But I really don't have a lot of different cymbals. I do really love my Pistes cymbals for recording and drum covers, but there's something beautiful about the Zildjian Cropes. They're dark and they're exotic and they're jazz-like and smoky and weird and really dark. They just don't have the definition that this cymbal has. The cymbal's got more of a ping and definition. Pistes cymbals are generally brighter and they sit in the mix a different way in the frequency range and really nice, and I really enjoy my Pistes cymbals. One of my favorite pair of hats is this pair right here, my 505s that are my brother's 505s from 1984 when we bought his drum kit that came back to me through my friend Scott. So I love these. I have a set of Giant Beats. I have a set of Rude 14-inch hi-hats that rarely come out, but I've played for years and years and years. My favorite crash cymbals today are pretty much the thin Giant Beat and the thin 16-inch crash and the 20-inch Giant Beat multi. Really beautiful crashes. I also have a 20-inch 505 that's nice cymbal too. I've been using that a little bit. So yeah, Pisces are pretty much what you see on most of my sessions, but not always. Sometimes you're going to see some Zildjians too. On St. James Club, I think they were Pisces, so I can't really tell. Can't tell. Let me see. Are they? Yeah, they were Pisces, so I don't see any difference. But anyhow, thanks for the question. My next one comes from Drummy Co. He's from Germany. He said, "Hi Earl, it sounds fantastic again. I'm not sure what video this one is either. I think it's one of the jazzier ones I have done. It is an unbroken pleasure to watch and listen. An unbroken pleasure. Okay. To listen to you playing drums, but today I have a question for you. Do you make your own drumless versions? And if so, which software do you use? Maybe this is also a question for Ask Earl Anything." Well, thank you for asking the question. And the truth of the matter is, yes, I make my own drumless versions. It's a company called Xtrax Stems 2. You can buy the version, buy it outright, or you can do a yearly subscription. I bought the yearly subscription for $50. And I can tell you I have gotten my money's worth. I've done well over 50 drum covers with drumless tracks this year. So I recommend it. Yeah. Plus it got me another lesson with John J.R. Robinson's, which I told you that story. So thank you. That's the program I use. Now, there is a video from Steve the drummer, another friend of mine, and he talked about some other program you can get through Apple, like an Apple iTunes store app kind of scenario, or the App Store. I have never used it. I can tell you, Xtrax Stems allows me to make click tracks in Logic. So I have found Xtrax Stems to be the one I'd rather use. So, but that's that. Thank you very much for the question. And my last question for Ask Earl Anything. Michael Perry, my friend Michael Perry, he said, and I saved this one for last for a reason too. He said, "Great playing, Earl. Gosh, you seem to be putting out a video every day. The virus must be affecting your job. I hope your work gets better. Just a thought from looking around your studio. Between all your drums, cymbal stands, pedals, mics, computer programs, spare drum parts, how much would you say you've invested in your studio, ballpark figure? Just ask because someone might be thinking of starting their own studio and might want a ballpark number to work with. Of course, I know each studio is different and it's hard to quantify." Well, that was a question for Ask Earl Anything, Michael. I did give an answer to that. And I think the way I answered the question was this: I never thought about it in my 45 years of drum spending. And that's the truth of the matter, is I have never added up the cost of all of my equipment. So, first off, I want to address the first part of what you said. I have worked every day since COVID, except for the last weekend where I took a couple days off for the first time. I am doing great. My drum cover production is on the weekends. I sit in here from 8 o'clock in the morning on Saturday till about 5, 6 o'clock at night. I do the same thing on Sunday till about 5 o'clock. And in that time, I can make 8 drum covers. Why? Because I basically make Xtrax Stems. Maybe one evening I'll make Xtrax Stems for what I'm going to work on the next weekend, or Friday afternoon about 3 o'clock or 4. And off I go. I just start banging out tracks, and I make a whole bunch of stems at a time. So it doesn't take long to make Xtrax Stems, drumless tracks. Doesn't take long at all. And then I just bring those tracks into Logic and I go. And then I spend probably no longer than an hour on any song. That is from learning it to recording it with a video. Matter of fact, when I record a drum cover, I basically turn the camera on. This is why I do one camera drum covers too, by the way. Because when I do two camera drum covers, I got an iPad and an iPhone basically going for as long as it takes to do the cover. Why do I use the iPad and the iPhone over the DSLR? Because the DSLR has got a cool picture. I can get a really nice video with the DSLR. The reason is the DSLR goes 11 minutes and then I have to get up, break my pattern, get up and hit the off button and the on button again, and then sit down. And when I'm making a drum cover, I'm learning it and playing it. That's what I do. I don't sit there and listen for days and days on any of these songs. None of these songs do I spend time on really that way. I probably have listened to all the songs I pick at some point in time in my life and played them at some point in time in my life, or love them enough to be in a playlist for me to play some point in time in my life. But when I sit down to learn a track like Diamond Girl, I basically sat here for about an hour and kind of picked the part apart. Like, oh, he was doing something with the hi-hat. Boom, da, boom, boom, boom. I had to figure out what he did. And I tried to play Diamond Girl pretty close to what he played on the record. It's not exact, but it's close. That was a particularly tough track to kind of work on. But I still didn't really break my rule, about an hour playing. I'm recording my practice takes right up. Sometimes I'll come in here and knock a take out in 15 minutes. It'll be 15 minutes. First time I sat down and played it till I'm done. And I've had a couple drum covers that I've done recently where somebody stopped me and I said, you know what? I did it enough times and it maybe was only 20 minutes and I'll use a take that's not perfect, but you know what? It's close enough for jazz. It's close enough for me. I'm not going to sit there for another hour and redo it. And then I get songs like Steely Dan or something where I want to be really good, so I'll work on it longer and harder. But I'm recording everything I do. So making drum covers is actually very easy for me. It's just playing music and that I love. It's putting the ears in, getting my headphone mix. I sit here with the transport here and I'm pushing on and off. And I get to the end of the song, I hit it again. And I go again. I hit it again, go again. And if it's a 3-minute song, you can hit that 15, 20 times pretty quick. You learn the song and then you get better at it. And once I feel I got the take, I go for another one. Maybe another 2. And then I basically say I'm done. And then I go listen to it and then I find out that maybe the last one was the one. Or maybe it wasn't the one I thought it was 2 takes back from that. And I find the best take and I'm done. So that's how I make drum covers. And that's how I can make so many drum covers so quickly. Because I don't spend a lot of time. By the way, I have a template for my audio that everybody says my audio is really good. It's really, I use Universal Audio plugins, some Logic plugins, and I've been doing recording for 20 years. So trust me, I've got it dialed in pretty much. I've got it all in a template, all set up, all the plugs I use. Okay? And once that's set up, it's easy. Okay? Drop in, you've recorded it, you're done. It's pretty much there. And sometimes I'll go in and I'll start doing the work in Final Cut with the editing of the cameras, if there's 2 cameras, or I'm just listening to the mixes and watching myself. And really, that's where I spend most of my time, is just looking to see, is this the take? And then if I do the take and I go, this is the take, but it doesn't sound right, I'll go back and remix it and then render it again with the video and make it work. And that's how I make drum covers, really quick. Now, as far as the amount of money I've spent on stuff, I would say on drum kits, I bought my Gretsch kit I bought for $1,100 in college. All right. Now today that drum kit would probably be brand new, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. Okay. So I bought that 40 years ago. Now a lot of stands are gone from when I originally bought it, but that included all the drums. I would say probably over my lifetime I have spent close to $100,000 probably. Somewhere around 50 grand for sure. Somewhere between 50 and 100, I'll say. I mean, I've had three computer setups for my studio that I've spent big money for. I had a couple used computers. My wife's album was done on a G4, used G4. But the G5 I bought brand new, the Mac Mini I bought brand new, and the iMac I bought brand new. So those are $2,000 purchases, so I probably spent $5,000 just on computers. Audio, mics, gosh, man, hundreds of dollars I spent on, thousands of dollars I spent on mics and cables and all that stuff, and snakes, and the drums themselves, I don't know. I've had over 100 cymbals in my lifetime. I've had over 25 snare drums in my lifetime. A lot of things were bartered and traded and stuff, so that's why it's hard to put a number on it. But I would say to start a studio of what I'm doing, the magnitude I'm doing it at, the mics and the computer and the audio interface and the studio monitors and Logic or whatever you're going to use and a video and some cameras, you know, you're going to at a minimum need about $5,000 at a minimum just to get that going. Then you put the drum kit and the cymbals in there for a drum kit. And a decent drum kit with decent cymbals is going to run you, even if you spend $1,000 on the drums or less, then you spend another $1,000 on cymbals for good. I would recommend getting good cymbals, of course. Right there, you're at $7,000, you know. And then you start getting into the things like extra snare drums and different snare drums. And like this snare drum was a custom snare drum. Now it was made for me and given to me by the owner of the company. This is actually my hammer model DMR drum on this drum right here. This is my DMR cast aluminum drum. This one right here with the Bennett throw off. But this drum is probably about $1,000, you know, to buy. I gave the guy drum lessons. I worked it off. It was a barter deal. So years ago. This is now probably 12 years ago now. So, but this is the same drum as the Gretsch cast aluminum drum, 6.5 by 14. It's the same exact shell, just powder coated. But yeah, I would say that's a good number, somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000 to get your studio up and running. I think you would agree with me, Michael, because you know a set of V drums would cost you about $5,000, right? So maybe you can do it between 5 and 10, somewhere in there. Now, if you don't want to go with DAW and really pro audio sounding stuff, you can go cheaper. You know, you can buy a zoom camera with 4 leads and basically marry the zoom camera to a PC downloaded program and make it work. But for me, using Logic, Final Cut, good studio board, professional preamps, which I have. I spent $2,000 on my 7-circle audio preamps. I mean, that board is probably, I got a deal on that board. The board I have, I bought from off a friend used for like $800, but in actuality, that board new would probably be $2,000 easy. So, I mean, I know how to shop for stuff, so I probably haven't spent the full amount, but you can spend a lot of money in the studio. That's what I'm telling you, you spend a lot of money. But mine has been acquired over 45 years, 20 years of having a studio. So I can't even really give you the real number because of that. So, but anyhow, Michael, thank you for asking the question. Everyone, thank you for watching Ask Earl Anything. I appreciate your questions. By the way, I will do a show in August at some point if I have questions. If I don't have questions, I won't have a show. So thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it, and just know that I care about everybody in the drum community, and thank you for being subscribers. It's the first time watching this video. I hope it wasn't too heavy, and if you like my stuff and you're not a subscriber, please like and subscribe. Thank you all. Have a great July, and hopefully I'll talk to you soon in August. Bye-bye.